Hello, everybody. My name is Renee Feeler, and I want to welcome you to a new podcast format that I have here with an amazing person, Janet.
Mm.
And I wanted to offer myself in the space of metaphysical topics and philosophy and even theology in terms of really better understanding ourselves, literally why we're here as incarnated beings and what the opportunities are in this reality. And I have found over the years that I've recognized my, if you will, spiritual gifts, that my passion for logic and reason and needing things and expecting things to make sense really has come in handy. And with my own connection to source energy, I tend to have a very unique and fresh and different take on some of the classic questions and challenges that we're faced with as humans. So when I started realizing that, oh, I actually have a unique answer to provide and offer, of course, it motivated me because I want us to all have what works. Okay, so that's my Jill part. Janet, how
Yeah,
about you?
I wanted to add a little bit to Jill. One of the things I really appreciate her about Jill is that she's not afraid to go places. And there's very few that I see that do that in the way that Jill does. And the level of honor and respect that she holds for humanity and all that is profound.
Mm. Thank
So,
you.
yay,
Thank you
Jill.
so much. And you and I
Um,
have that in common. So you go ahead. I won't interrupt.
We do. I am thrilled to be here, especially with Jill, because what happens synergistically when the two of us get together and the different perspectives and the different realities that we can open up for people to live better, be better, feel better is incredible. And so I have been in the transformational healing world for a long time. And the more opportunity and the more ways that I can help people be their brightest selves, the better. And so that is why I'm here with Jill. I do hold space very uniquely. I do open up possibilities for people very uniquely. And I also help people dive into those topics that might be challenging, including trauma. Whatever is in the way, I help people address, whether it's personally, collectively, societally, whatever. So that's why I think Jill and I are going to have a lot of fun with our conversation here.
I totally agree. I'll add, Janet, to yours. I'll offer that there's so many things I appreciate about you. There's this term galactic shaman that
Mhm.
is not widely used within the metaphysical or even anywhere in this reality. I accepted that that term applies to me, and I respect that. I appreciate the fact that it sounds very woo woo, and it is. And yet, when that term helps explain how you have access to what you have access to, how you come to knowings and advice and upgrades and completely original ideas for how someone can move forward in their lives and how this reality can move forward as a collective. The
Mhm.
term galactic shaman applies very well. Galactic shamans are not trained within this reality, they bring wisdom with us. And
Yes.
that wisdom keeps updating and upgrading as we're here and as we're interacting with this reality as it is and as we sense and know it could be, but
Yeah.
not in an unrealistic, idealistic fashion, but in a any upgrade is better than what we have now. Let's be experimental. Let's be curious. Let's be creative. And let's be end goal sort of focused.
Yeah.
You and I have that in common. And I frankly don't run into that many people that I feel that kinship with.
Mhm.
So when you and I have conversations, there is this beautiful volley at a very, very deep and or expanded level that is very refreshing. And my suspicion is that as people engage with this form of the podcast, those
Mhm,
that like that, or and or those that just want better ideas to how to be themselves and their soulfulness and improve their connection to what they identify as source energy, that people will get that. But then also some people just may love to sort of sit in on the conversations that you and I have together because they are very special and unique. And I've
yeah,
learned from our overlapping communities that people are craving these types of conversations that are not condescending to their
mm,
soulfulness. It's
mhm,
beckoning of their soulfulness. It's acknowledging their soulfulness and their wisdom and their source, the source energy that they represent and have access to in this reality. So I'm predicting a lot of satisfaction and personal breakthroughs and potentially meaningful resets of how they identify themselves as light in form in this reality.
yes, I completely agree, and the thing I'll add to that is, I mean, I work with energetics completely all over, doesn't matter what dimension or reality it is, as do you. And what really matters is the boots on the ground practicality here. Because if it's not practical, forget about it, right?
Mhm,
Like, let's be embodied, let's be real, let's keep it real, and let's challenge what isn't working.
mhm, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to add one other thing that I know, and maybe this won't mean as much to some people, but I'm very impressed by your resume. I just am. Your human resume and your spiritual resume in terms of the beings that you've worked alongside are very impressive, well-known sorts of beings in some communities. And that says a lot about you.
Mm.
And I really respect that.
Mm. Yeah, right back at you. And the other thing is authenticity,
Mm,
integrity. Oh boy, we could hop at this. I'm hopping right in here.
you are.
I, I'm hopping right in. I just can't
Should
help
we put a
it.
disclaimer label? If we ever offend anybody by an idea that you hold dear or that you feel got you through a really hard time, we're not trying to bash or diminish you or what has worked for you or tools that have meant something to you. That is not our intention. Our intention is to acknowledge that hey, some of us are actually here creating maybe even simpler ways, maybe even faster solutions for you to know and be and operate and expand the source energy that you are within your humanness.
Mhm,
It's not that there aren't other solutions. It's that could they be better? Could they maybe be more logical? Could they sit better within your humanness and not ask you to disassociate from your humanness or disassociate from this reality as it is? Because there's a lot of problems with that. So.
yes, yes, and nobody has to agree with us. And we
Yay!
and I look forward to the moments when we don't disagree. It's like, Jim, I don't know."
Sure about that? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Because we've had those moments in our
Uh-huh.
unrecorded, not for public, available consumption.
Exactly. And what I have found, which is interesting, it's more about fine-tuning the idea to break it down to see
Mm,
what's working and what isn't and what doesn't. But,
mm,
there's like the hope is that people walk away with more of who they are and what they know. And if that gets
mm.
challenged, just look at it and see. You know, we can be open-minded and we can learn to listen to things that we don't necessarily agree with. And if we all did that, the world would be a better place. Just say.
That's so good. Okay, so intros feels complete on my side.
Yeah,
What do you think, Janet? Good?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
so the format that we've talked about is identifying specific ideas or topics and maybe expressing our concerns with it or where we believe or sense that it's actually could be better or why it doesn't work, why it's not our favorite tool or idea, and why. And a brief kind of contained succinct synopsis and then what we think works better so then individuals can maybe go oh okay actually that does make more sense to me I want to try that out. I want to see if that idea or that tool actually does whatever your goal is, help you feel closer to source energy, help you feel more smooth and calm. I was going to say small and cool, smooth and calm in this reality. And just have more access to your favorite version and layers of yourself. So, what's our topic today, Janet? What should we talk about?
Oh man, the thing
There's
that's
so
like,
many.
oh, I know, the thing that's beating on my door, it's
What is it?
like what's real and what's not
Mm.
in terms of what you hear, in terms of what you read, in terms of how you navigate your world. Are people operating from an outdated system that's perpetuating what we don't want? And did you hop on that bandwagon,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps unconsciously? Ooh, well, let's take a few breaths on that, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Wow.
When I come across somebody that is trying to pretend something is true, but it
Mm,
isn't actually true or isn't reasonable, doesn't make sense, but they're just like, yeah, this is true because somebody told me it was true, or I'm currently believing it's true and I don't know what else to believe, so I'll believe this thing. And we should probably give an example. Um, let's give an example first. Do you have a favorite that you want to give
mm,
as a
mm.
false, in your opinion, in your experience, a false truth?
Um, wow, shall we go bold and use media?
Ooh, we could. Oh, I'm resisting though for some reason.
I know.
It's just such
I
a charged one. What about one that, what about the hypothesis that everyone incarnated is here to learn lessons and to attend Earth school to get to another level? What about that? Are you okay with that one?
Here, let's go.
It's a
Go
good
ahead.
one. It's a
Yeah,
very popular one, right?
it
Okay,
is.
so that isn't anything anyone can prove. The
Yeah.
whole idea that Earth is a school and
Mm,
therefore everyone that's here is attending Earth school. That you can't prove it. And therefore it's a theory, it's a hypothesis. So when we pretend something is true
mm,
that can't be proven, that doesn't have to be problematic. But when we are pretending something is true that isn't true, it really creates a lot of unsettled, misplaced, distorted energy that we're because we're literally trying to make a lie a truth. And it's not that it won't have any benefit, but it can be very unsatisfying on a soul level, because on a soul level there's a knowing of this isn't true, we're just pretending that we're at school. What if we're actually here just to share? What if we're actually here just to research and explore and be curious and be our source energy amidst exactly as it is? And what if I'm actually whole and complete and I didn't need to learn anything here? What if I'd never come to Earth as a school? That would be like trying to get a college education in a 7-Eleven. You'd never do it. And it's just like, whoa, where are you going? What are you calling it? School? Okay, well, I guess you can. We'll see how it goes, right? So there's a lot of downsides to that specific belief, and I'd
mm.
like to talk about that. Janet, I'd like to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, the thing that immediately just kind of goes, ah, it it dismisses the power, the breath, and the bandwidth of my soul, of my
Mm,
divine nature. Yes, I can learn things here. Of course. Of course I can learn things here, but not at the expense of knowing who I am as an incredibly powerful being. That's the problem.
mm,
It's like I have to be less than because the model that's been operating in the two student teacher model means that the teacher knows more and is more. That's part of the problem of it, right?
Yeah. Energetically, especially for seekers, right? It
Yeah.
puts you in a position of disempowerment because everything you're trying to focus on, if you're a good student, is what don't I know? What haven't I learned yet? Where am I not excelling? And I want to hyper focus on those things. And in that energetic intention, there's no placement for what are you already amazing at? Look at how forgiving you are. Look at how easy it is for you to fall in love with somebody that clearly has challenges or problems or is also, has their messiness in this reality. How is that possible that that's so easy for you to see the best in another person? How is it so simple for you to be confident in this world? How is it so simple for you to be humble, right? We all have these aspects of what I call godliness that in that student model, it's like way behind in the back chair going, I already learned that. I'm here to learn these things. Clearly, I'm not this, I'm not that. I lack this, I lack that. I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. So that's what I'm here to focus on. These other strengths and abilities that somehow I have or I brought with me or whatever other theory can explain why I'm really good at those things that Jill just mentioned, I'm that's not why I'm here.
Mhm.
So then you're not even sharing that, or at least you're not enjoying it, you're not trusting it, you're not radiating it, right? I love the beings in this reality that have gifts that I don't have, right? That are just so super chill and it's almost
Mm.
like a non-visionary and not trying to like, okay, where are we going and how are we going to get there? You know what I mean? I just love the ones that are like, this is so great. I'm just so chilling right now. I'm so relaxed. I'm like, I love you. Could you please sit right next to me? Because I don't have that gift in this reality. I didn't bring it with me. I'm super focused on how much better could we be? And you're just like, this is actually pretty good right now. Like, look at the sun or near a star. It's like consistent. It doesn't have a lifespan of forever, but that's amazing. I love the giftedness that other people have. And if they're not enjoying that and allowing themselves to identify as those strengths, we're all missing out as
Mm.
well as that individual. Those are just a couple downsides to it.
I completely agree because the healthy way of that, right? The healthy way is learning things is an addition. Exactly what you're talking about, you know?
Mm.
People that have those skill sets that I'm just like, wow, how do they do that here, right? I'm not leaving myself behind. I'm bringing all of me and I'm seeing where that aspect of that person lights up my potential within. And I was like, wow, I can do that here too.
Mm.
So it's sort of like a celebration of the depth, a wider range of what we can do here because we've crammed a lot of our big selves into this little teeny package, and did have to pick specialties that while we're here, we can really become have more bandwidth, I'll say.
Right. Janet, how do you feel this part of the conversation in terms of our natural, what I call godliness, or our natural source energy strengths and abilities? How do you feel like that? How would you place the importance of that as their identity when there is something in their situation related to trauma and healing and transcendence and transformation? How important is that inner inherent, you've already got this part figured out to that process?
Vital.
Mm.
I mean, there's something that happens with trauma, right? We have an experience, and there's literally an electromagnetic thing that happens where we lose access to part of ourselves, of
Mm.
our godliness. And it becomes a pattern and a loop where we bypass the essence of who we really are and can't access it. So it's vital. And to me, the sweet spot is we all have that ability to tap into that aspect of our godliness in every moment, and we forget that. Because
Mm.
when we're looping, we can't access it, right? So that's why we have this. I mean, that's why we, go to healers, we go to doctors, we go to people. We could have a whole conversation about the difference
Oh, I hope we do.
between
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I hope we do.
That would be
Yeah.
juicy
I'm
because
gonna
I have
add
a
it
whole
to the
opinion
list.
on that. But,
Mhm.
energetically, why healing works, it's that same thing where when I hold and reflect back to you, if you're looping or you're in some sort of trauma cycle, it's electromagnetic, and I hold this and reflect back to you your light, you're like, "She sees my light." Like, "What?" And that helps melt that thing, and that happens around everything, about
Mm.
ideas that Earth is a school, which implies I could be less than, right? It's like, "Eh, eh."
Mhm.
What's your view
Yeah.
on that, Jill, around
I love what you're saying because especially seekers and spiritual seekers, those that are trying to better understand this reality, those that are trying to make sense of themselves and others in this world,
Mhm,
um, they deserve better answers. And if they're not connecting with, and I keep using the term identifying with
mm,
what is already just really solid and workable and great about their literally the nature that they
mm,
operate from in this reality. They brought it with them. It's their tendencies or what they have access to that they just keep going to, right? If
yeah,
they don't have an identification with that because it wasn't important because they were only thinking they were here to learn things and that's where their radar was going, right? Not in the storeroom that's already well stocked, right? If they don't have that, then they are, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone, so this might be
mhm,
hard to hear for someone. They
mm,
don't have that. They're over identifying with what they think is their traumatic pain, what their sense of life lesson, even purpose or mission is. They're over identifying with the thing they don't have a sense of wholeness about yet. And I find that very problematic, not just for them, but all of their relationships, right?
I completely agree. I mean, any identification has some sort of external reference point, right? And
Mm,
lots of them. And that's where the problem lies, where we
mhm,
can't live from the inside out. I mean, we're meant to, we're these radiant beings. I mean, even if you got a lot of stuff going on, you think your
mm.
life is like, I won't use that term. Your life is not going
Messy,
well.
messy.
There is still this incredible light, and that's what you're talking that over-identification with how bad my life is going versus the recognition of how amazing I am as a being, and that's
Mhm,
that so identification in general can be there's a saying, "You spot it, you got it," and people, in certain recovery rooms would say that in terms of a negative way, but
mhm,
that's also true in the positive sense.
mm,
You spot it, you got
mm.
it. If I see that light in you, that's reflecting back the light in me,
Got to spot good things. Jeez.
It's focus,
Ugh,
like, what do you
yep.
pay attention to here?
So we could probably talk hours about the problems with this idea,
Mm,
this theory that Earth is a school and
mhm.
pretty much everybody here is the purpose is to come here to learn lessons. We could talk for hours about that. We've given some. Do you feel like we need to give more examples of why we don't like it or how we see that it doesn't work in action? Or
I
should
just
we?
got I feel like we've been, inputting some more positive things about it, but
Mm,
the one aspect or view I wanna bring up is, and we talked a little bit about this, is authority.
mm,
If Earth
mm.
is a school, who's in charge?
Yeah. because it's not you. If you're the student, right? Student in Earth School isn't like, hey, I think we got a problem over here, or I have an idea about things. It's what is the answer, teacher? And really trying to find the right teachers, right? And there's a lot of great teachers that are not accessing their wholeness, that are not self-aware enough to acknowledge that yes, they have mastery in one area, but they have mess in these other areas because there's some of the teachers, spiritual teachers included, are stuck in that loop too. Oh, this is a school and I know more about these things, or I clearly have mastery or giftedness in this. So that must mean that I'm farther along than these people. And I don't want to jeopardize my ability to help the students by
Mhm.
getting tripped up with the stuff I know is a mess in my life. So they may block it in a very disassociative way of, okay, I know with my, this would be the healer, spiritual teacher type of person that is playing this game of Earth as a school, and they're the teacher or one of the teachers, and those are the students. They're denying the teachable moments from their students, right?
Yes.
There's a constant leveling of I'm up here and you're down here, and let me make sure that that hierarchy is well maintained. There's lack of self-awareness, there's lack of acknowledgement, there's
Mhm.
denialism about the other areas. And I know with my work over the past 10 plus years, especially newer community members, they're shocked when they hang out with me on a trip or at a retreat and there's something in there and I'm, noticing that I'm getting frustrated that we're all at dinner together, having lunch together, and like the bill is delayed and we got to get outside because it's going to start raining in an hour or whatever. And I'm just like, sorry, you guys, I'm getting a little frustrated because the bill isn't here. And they were like, what did she just say? She just acknowledged that she's not perfect and she
Mhm.
had no problems with it. She's still relaxed. She's next breath is this, cosmic guidance that I've never heard before. And right alongside that is that she's actually humanly irritated that the bill is delayed and that we have an actual schedule that she's trying to keep to because Mother Nature is doing her thing today. Right?
Mm.
So there's this, they feel relaxed because I'm not pretending that I'm not those things. I'm aware of those things. And I'm not only owning and accepting those things, I'm not bothered by those parts of myself. They're not getting in the way of the
Yeah.
light that I am. And
Yes.
I don't want their maybe prickliness to get in the way of their light either. So I'm literally modeling it. But I recognize from those experiences with community members how refreshing that is. How, just like, oh, this is so much right, this is so much better because we're not all pretending that the teacher is this and we're not pretending that we don't have gifts and that we don't have advice and things that we're better at than anyone else, sitting in the group. There's just it's so much better this way.
It's so refreshing. I know I've had people tell me it's like, "Well, at retreats, it's like, well, you're just a real person." I'm like, I know.
Isn't it great?
Isn't it great? Like we can all just be real.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Do you have any stories that you can share in a neutral way about firsthand accounts with teachers that had that um, I'm here, they're here sort of moments? I mean, I've heard crazy stories, and I shouldn't say they're crazy because they may actually be justified, but I do think it's I've heard crazy stories. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
One of my and I know you have supported me through this one, so you know this particular one. But there ends up being in the spiritual community, there can be a follower dynamic.
Mm.
And that's one that really just irks, it gets in. And first I needed to heal this within me because I was a follower.
Mm.
I was like, where am I in all of this? Are these principles that we are talking about regarding equality,
Mm.
regarding unity consciousness? Where are they being practiced? Because I woke up and realized I was a follower and I
Mm.
wasn't honored Yes, some people have more knowledge than I do about a particular thing, but that does not mean we are non-peer.
Does not mean that does not mean we're incomplete.
That's
Does
right.
not mean we're unwhole. It does not mean that our soulfulness is here to even learn that thing that we don't know or that we don't have expertise in. I would hypothesize that our soulfulness is not bothered by what we don't know or what we're not an expert in. It's okay. To me, it makes no sense that the goal would be to get to a state of so called enlightenment where
Mm,
there is nothing more to know and
mm,
nothing more to learn and
mm,
nothing more to be curious about. That is a complete misrepresentation of
mm,
wholeness and completeness. It's
mm,
not bad to have questions.
mm,
It's not bad to see that someone else has gifts or strengths or abilities or knowledge that you don't have. That's not the goal, and that's not the objective, and that's not why we're here. I
mm,
can't prove that either, but that's my hypothesis, and I feel like I have so much more access to my
mm,
source energy and godliness and true source energy and connection and availability to radiate that love and that compassion and those strengths that I have and wisdom and really amazing unique ideas in this reality. I get better access to that through this hypothesis.
mhm. I agree. And really, we get to experience really beautiful, incredible things here.
Mm,
And there's no place that I know of anywhere in any universe, any multiverse, anywhere that we can have the level of sensational experience that we can have on Earth.
mm,
So let's try to enjoy that, whether whatever it looks
mhm.
like, right?
Yes.
Whatever it looks like, good, bad, indifferent. Like, wow, did I just do that?
It's so good.
I just did. Wow.
So if someone said to you, Janet, I don't I'm not ready to give up this idea that Earth is a school. I believe it is a school because I know I've learned stuff here. You
Yes.
touched on this earlier, but I just want to invite you into maybe a more
Yeah.
expanded conversation about how would you respond to them, and we can each take a turn if we feel that too.
I would say fabulous.
Love that. Great. Oh my gosh, that's a way better answer than I was thinking of because I was like, no, it's better to, and you're like, no, that's fine. You're allowed to.
You know? Like, what does that feel like? Does that feel like equality
Mm,
to you? Does
mm,
that feel does it feel like you had to give up any part of yourself to learn those things?
mm,
Was it life-changing for you? Did it bring you more joy?
mm.
Tell me.
Does it make you feel more whole and complete?
Yes.
And when do you feel like you might feel whole and complete? If you're, and I would get more to the, I like yours. It's fine. And it is. I agree too. When you extend that theory out though to its logical conclusion, which to me is one of the best um, kind of tests of a good theory, when you really play it out,
Yeah,
how in this reality, especially as I mean, we're very, creator energy is by definition creative. And humanness has a very unique ability to embody source energy curiosity. So, can you logically imagine a time where you actually get to the version of incarnation where you're like, I think I got it. I think I got it. I'm an expert in everything I could be an expert in. There's no further lessons. I'm fully evolved. I'm fully ascended, and I'm ready to graduate. I'm good. I don't need any more lifetimes here. Right? Is that, do you really, if you really play that out, do you really believe that's possible?
yeah,
And what if it isn't? Then what does that mean? If
yes,
that isn't the goal, then might you want to re-examine other purposes,
yes,
additional purposes for this reality.
yeah,
Like, coming here to check things out and see what the heck's going on in this very strange place. What is it like to be a human if I choose these parents and live in that time period and be, have that as my birthplace? What's that like? Because there's endless incarnations you can do from
Yeah.
that curiosity. What if it's, I want to make a me to incarnate that is extremely understanding and compassionate
Mm,
and articulate? I wonder what that would be like. I wonder if I could help my fellow humans. I wonder if I could offer
mm.
a better explanation for why they feel the way they do, or why they are challenged by the things that they're challenged by, or why their mom is constantly driving them crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many useful reasons to incarnate here that are
Yes.
not for the primary goal of checking off boxes of things you're supposed to master or learn.
I agree, and that to me, that leads to the, attachment. Like, do I feel like I'm gonna whatever, not be okay if I don't learn this thing, you know? And so that's what you're talking about really, is like, it's a good thing to know.
The
Forever.
other belief system you're saying? Like the
Yeah.
another belief system is a good thing to know.
Well, it's good to know what your driver is, because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
coming out of lack for
Mm,
thinking it's a Earth school and you just like, you're not enough, it's back to what we were talking about earlier.
mhm.
Like, that's not the right reason. It could be, but see how that works for you. See how you feel when you're done.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to the next one, right? Like, how many times do you wanna take that class from that particular feeler to get that,
Right.
it's like, eh,
Yeah.
stop.
You mentioned earlier authority too, and I think we touched on the term empowerment. The level of disempowerment
Mm,
and lack of authority I've witnessed and observed in individuals that are spiritual seekers, that are researchers, that are anyone that fits in this category of Earth is a school, and clearly I'm here to learn lessons, so I got to figure out what those are. I've
mhm,
seen very, very troubling, problematic um, bypasses of their authority and their sovereignty to someone they felt was better equipped, more gifted, farther along in supposedly their evolutionary chain, so that they were sort of like, well, I can't make decisions for myself. I'm in school. Like, you can't just decide when lunch period is. You gotta find out, like, when we go to lunch. We're on a schedule here. There's a system outside of me I have no authority over. I cannot challenge because then I might mess up my lesson. Or if my teacher gets mad at me, then I might really miss the lesson. So I got to stay in good behavior, be a really devoted, dedicated student,
mhm.
because this life is can be really hard, and I never want to make this mistake again. So I got to get this lesson and serious this time because I don't want to come back here to learn this lesson. All of that is ripe for, I hesitate to use the word abuse, but let's just say misappropriation of power away from self to others, or to something, I mean, even more grand, the universe or God, that has more authority apparently than you're giving yourself. And in this reality, that's not advised. I don't recommend that. It's very concerning.
It is, and I will and we could talk, do a whole 'nother podcast on this one, but that dynamic very much looks like living from the perspective of a child.
Mm,
And a lot of those, that's
mm,
unconscious for people, and that gets caught into the trauma of their childhood. They might have come in with
mm,
it, which I know a lot of people do, but it still gets regrounded and re-anchored in this reality, and
mhm,
it's something that we get to work through and remove that electromagnetic charge so the pattern doesn't repeat.
mm.
And I know I was sitting at the table with my family one day. No offense, family, if you listen to this. And I realized there wasn't an adult at the table.
Mm,
I was like, "Wow." And so that really sets that. I have to be good. I have to follow the rules. I have to learn. It's a continual seeking process because I haven't really evolved to adulthood, and I
Mm,
don't have that active enough here.
mm,
And we want all of ourselves on board.
yeah.
So it's profound, really. And it's more common than we think. I don't go looking for people's trauma, but when they come to me and they have something in the way that blocks their ability to be here, let's go. Let's see what that is,
Mm,
you know?
so beautiful. I want to invite those of you that are listening or watching to just get out something that you can make your notes on or your questions. I mean, we're intentionally picking really big, juicy sorts of ideas that deeply matter. How you answer that question. Is Earth a school or is Earth not a school? What is Earth to you? Right? How you answer that question directly, significantly, dramatically affects who and what you are allowing yourself to be and others to be in this reality. We picked it intentionally. Even though we did not write this down, we're very sort of like, well, let's see what topic comes up. I love that we started with this one, right?
Ex-
So there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of threads, there's a lot of connecting beliefs and practices and tools that are associated with this. So I just really encourage people to, and I respect you as a listener and a viewer, as your own authority figure. What comes up for you as well? I hear you, but how could that be true if I mean, are you saying we don't have past lives? Are you saying there's no regressive items in my astrology chart? Are you saying that it's okay if I'm bitchy sometimes when I get hangry? Are you saying that's all right? Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Just really, I just want to invite you to just ask your own why questions of why, why am I having trouble if you are accepting that this might be true because Janet and our only intention is to offer you what we believe, what we know, and what we've seen is a better idea about something. If you're currently served by the idea that Earth is a school and you are a student, or maybe you identify as a teacher, if that's working for you, that's awesome. This episode may not be as relevant to you. And I'm glad you're smooth sailing in this department. If some of you are like, no, I think there's something here for me, I would trust that.
Mhm.
Your soulfulness may be knocking on your heart from the inside out, going, this could be an upgrade that you did not see coming. And I just got goosebumps, right? So just notice your thoughts, notice your feelings, notice your sensations of just write down the questions, write down the whatabouts that come up for you. Share them in a comment if you're watching this on YouTube or if you got the newsletter, however you got this. Uh, Put a note, put a pin in your ideas and make them as detailed or as brief as you want to. You could come back 5 different times in different comments if you want to. And I think, Janet, our intention was to kind of come back to if there are sort of follow up ideas that we can address and answer, that we would love that opportunity within a certain topic to sort of tie those up. Is that your understanding as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am not claiming authority, nor is Jill.
Mhm. Especially over you. I'm claiming authority over the ideas that I get excited about my ideas and I do feel authorship for, okay,
Yes.
this is actually a really good idea. Like, could this work? And then when I see it work in the community that I'm a part of, and that my work is a part of, I get excited. I'm like, okay, guys, this is better. Guess what? You're going to have more access to your light if you believe that you could come here with a lot to offer and
Yeah.
not even here to attend school. And that doesn't mean you don't learn anything. You might learn amazing things in this reality. that wasn't the main reason you're here, and it's not the only reason you're here.
Mhm.
That's to me where the freedom is, and it
Mhm.
gives us more access to the soulfulness we are.
Beautifully, beautifully stated.
Thank
Beautifully
you.
stated. Yes. So please comment, and we will see what gets picked up, on the next time we
Yes,
talk and
that's so
what we
good.
can dive deeper into. And yeah, I look forward
So
to that.
exciting.
Oh,
Me
I mean,
too.
I honor everybody so much and
Mm,
who they are and the light that they are. And yes, I say yes to that.
yeah. Oh my gosh, this is we're very brief because normally, I mean, I can go hours on these topics. And
Me too.
another problem with Lyric as a school is that, you'll keep incarnating with a really bad plan. You'll keep looking for
Oh,
teachers that may
goodness.
have one thing to teach you, but you've really thought they've got everything figured out, and really they have one thing to teach you, and then you can just move on and go to whatever other teacher is, making you feel the love and the light that you are versus pointing out everything that you are not yet that you may never need to be. I could just keep going and going and going. So there's a part of me going, okay, I guess we're pretty good close on this.
I hope we got
So
enough in.
we've both got a lot more ideas about this, and I'm just acknowledging that. I could
Yeah.
go on for days and weeks about this. I do want to ask everybody, though, however you're experiencing this, because we're still working out the technical details of how we're going to put it on, Spotify, on YouTube, etc. However you're experiencing this, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for
Mhm.
commenting on it if you found this useful. If you enjoyed the conversation and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this, please know how motivating that is for Janet. And well, I know it's motivating for me. Janet, is that motivating for you too?
Yes, it's motivating for
If you're
me.
like, oh my gosh, I don't even know exactly if I agree with you guys, but just this conversation is so mutually respectful, and I feel respected listening. I don't feel condescended. I don't feel like somebody's channeling and patting me on the head like, oh, you poor human who's still stuck on earth. I'll do what I can to help you, but good luck. You know what I mean? I like to make people laugh. I like to think I'm
Uh,
funny, and maybe I am to some people, maybe I'm not to you. I'm not a serious, teacher though. I'm a conscious sharer, and I love to do that with humor and lightness and
yeah.
love and compassion. And Janet, I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. I'm
Uh,
really happy that we're doing this.
I love it. Mm, I just really, wow. Okay. Can we just do a little bit of energetic transmission here at
Yes,
the
yes,
end here?
please.
Just to get, because there's a
Mm,
lot more that came through here versus
mm,
discussing Earth as a school. So wow. So just for a moment, consider yourself as
mm,
bigger than you think you are, because you are.
mm.
And let's see if we can just receive all the gifts, all that's available to us now.
Mm.
Greater access, more love, certainty, mm, and more respect for who you are as a soul. And I'm talking dimensional, unlimited. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, beautiful.
Thank you. You're
Yes.
so I just keep going, "Oh, I'm so glad we're doing this."
Oh, me too.
So good.
Thank
I would have
you.
not have thought to do
Thank
that,
you.
and that was so great. So
Oh,
thank
yeah,
you.
I can't help it. I was just like,
Yeah, please don't help it. Just keep doing that. Yeah, you're amazing. You're amazing. I hope you guys felt that too.
"Ah."
That was so good. All right. Thank you so much, Janet. So I'll hit stop on this recording. I'll warn everybody that we're not going to edit. Just be ready for real and raw and unedited. And when I messed up earlier, cool and calm or whatever, that I just owned it. Smooth and calm. Anyway, I'm going to even point it out because I know you saw it and heard it, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen because I almost said it wrong and then I did say it wrong just to show that I was almost there. I'm like, yep, I saw it too. You weren't crazy. Um, so this is unedited by intention. If we're going to edit out every and ah and misspeakings that I have, then we're probably going to delay getting this out to you. So anyway, I've set the expectation.
I
It
value
is what it is.
it.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Much
Thanks,
love.
Janet.